Welcome to Behind the Camera. I'm Matt.
And I'm Maddie, and we are a husband and wife team successfully accomplishing business' goals as their marketing companion and capturing moments in time worth cherishing.
Join us in conversation about being business owners, understanding the digital world, and our experiences.
Thanks for joining us on this podcast.
Welcome back to episode 2 of Behind the Camera. I'm Matt.
And I'm Maddie, and today we're going to talk about the 10 wedding tips and tricks that we've kind of discovered as being a 2022 bride and groom, and then also as a wedding vendor. So should we start with the first one?
I think we should just jump right in. What's our first little tip?
So our first little tip is bring hand towels for the bouquets. If you have real flowers.
Yes.
Which I don't think real flowers is as popular now as they were probably, I don't know, a few years ago.
Right.
But like the last few weddings we've done, they have real flowers and they come and they have them all in nice little vases. They look so nice and they pull them out during pictures and it's just dripping wet.
And you get your dress wet or your tux or your suit wet, and
it's just kind of
a pain.
Yeah.
So bring a hand towel.
Bring a hand towel.
You can wipe them off.
Yep.
And you're not scrambling the day of at the venue looking for something to wipe the flowers off with.
Right. Yeah, it's worked really well. And I think a lot of the time it's the personal attending usually that's wiping it off. And that's worked pretty well. Otherwise, sometimes grandma will sit down and she'll just kind of do it because it gives grandma something to do, which is kind of cute too. It makes for cool pictures.
It does. My other pet peeve with real flowers is they're kind of just a pain. I don't recommend them.
No, yeah, I'm definitely an artificial person. You really can't tell in a photo or video if they're nice artificial flowers. And a lot of time it's cheaper. It's
cheaper for one, and then two, you're not worried about them dying before the ceremony.
And we did artificial flowers, and I actually still have mine. I use them for office decorations and other stuff too, because we used a succulent, which was kind of different.
It's different.
I've never seen a succulent at a wedding other than ours, so I don't know. We use succulents, and they're kind of a cute little house decoration now.
Yeah,
so
they're all over this place.
Yeah, that's true. We have a lot of them. That's okay. So our next tip after hand towels, because that's kind of, these aren't in any order either. They're just
there's no particular order to any of this.
Listed them out. So the second one is skip the social hour food and late night snack, which this one is probably one of our more controversial ones. But a lot of times we go to a wedding and during social hour, people are so busy talking that they never eat the snack. Either
they never eat the snack or they eat too much of the snack, and then when it comes to the meal,
dinner, they don't eat it.
They're not hungry.
Right.
So then you're stuck with all these, not that leftovers are bad, but you're stuck with all the leftovers.
Right. And some caterers, you don't even get your leftovers.
Right.
Our caterer, we got our leftovers. Which I highly recommend Mr. Pig and Shakopee, by the way, because they were great for our wedding. And it was delicious.
Very good food. Very delicious.
Yes. Again, barbecue is probably not that popular, but it was delicious. Barbecue was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was great. And we got the leftovers, so I didn't mind that. But we didn't do a social hour. Well, yeah, we did. I guess we had a popcorn bar.
We had a popcorn M&M bar, but then we were left with a bunch of leftovers.
Yeah, it didn't really get ate. It really didn't. And I think the people that ate it were mostly kids. But our wedding had we had 3 people under the age of 18 at our wedding. So it didn't make any sense for us to have a social hour food. And so it's something we learned. And then as vendors, I rarely see people go to the social hour bar. Mostly it's kids. So if you have a ton of kids at your wedding, it's a good distraction.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, you really don't use it. And then when it comes to your late night snack, a lot of the time, if you don't have a big party group that's drinking a ton, it just kind of sits there.
And
it doesn't get ate.
Leftovers again.
Right. And the only one that I've actually seen get wiped out super fast is pizza.
Yeah, pizza. If you're doing a late night snack, pizza's the
way to go.
Everyone loves pizza.
Right. And we did ham sandwiches, which worked, but we weren't a drunk wedding. We didn't have a lot of people drinking, and it just didn't people just didn't really eat them. We literally had 200 ham sandwiches the next day at our wedding, and we have still probably eating them.
Do we get all the ones out of our freezer?
Yes, I think we did eat all of ours, but there's still probably some existing.
Your parents probably still have some in their freezer.
There's just never ending ham sandwiches, which is fine, but
they're good, but you don't want to eat them
I'm
forever.
sick of ham sandwiches.
So skip the snack. Unless you're going to have a bunch of drunk people and you know they're going to eat it.
And if you are going to have drunk people and you are going to do something, I would skip the social hour food for budget purposes and then just do pizza. Dude, pizza goes so fast.
And it's easy.
Yeah, people
especially
inhale pizza. And I appreciate a good slice of pizza after a long day sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah, pizza. Definitely pizza would be like my top
recommended late night snack.
It's so worth a little bit extra in the money because it actually gets ate.
Right.
So, all right, ready for the next one? It's kind of another prepared one. This one's kind of more on me, like my personal preference. So, like something we do for photos is a lot of the time you see those like layout, like the big layouts with like your ceremony cards and your earrings and stuff like that. And if that's really something you want, it's a lot easier if you bring that all prepared for your photographer.
Right. So the photographer or the videographer is not running around being like, I need this, that, and the other thing. And you're like, well, I don't have half these things here because I didn't think of it.
Right. So we're not bugging you for it. So I call this main tip is bring a details box. I call it a details box. So basically it's like you have this shoe box and you just fill it with your earrings and your ceremony cards and your save the dates and literally anything you want pictures from. Like your shoes, like we've had some crazy things in our boxes.
Shoes, what we had
pictures,
cigars, rings, earrings,
watches. Yeah. Sometimes the guys like tie or like bow ties in there, and that's kind of cute too. And then we always have kind of our extra stuff too. Like we bring like I have like little wood pieces and like some ribbons and stuff.
Some decorations to fill in and make the
and look and then full. Like we have those big boards that are like tiled background boards. Yeah, so those are super nice too. So like if you're a photographer or even a video person, honestly, because the photographer doesn't always have it.
Right.
Like I love my little fishing box of tools and like
just
different random things. Yeah.
Flowers and to fill in for decoration.
Right. And I've even been throwing extra stuff in there, like from our wedding, like there's like pins and bobby pins and like all this extra stuff too, which when it comes to photo time, like, oh, someone's hair is like a little off, I can quickly bobby pin it back up. Right. You know, I've just got this extra stuff in there, which is kind of nice for during the day too. Right. So we kind of use that throughout the day. So this whole details box thing is really important that the bride brings it all in one piece, because then I'm not going to mother-in-law or bride or whatever and being like, so when's the groom's ring coming? Where's your other ring? Well, so-and-so hasn't it, and we'll be here like an hour before the ceremony.
And you're like, well, then I'm not going to be able to get pictures.
Yeah, so then there's not pictures of it, and then they're just pointed. Right. Or we're doing it in the dark, and they just look different. So it's just easier.
It's easy if it's all ready to go in one box.
Yep, in a shoe box, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just have it prepared and in a box, and it makes it easier for you too when you're getting ready. Like
then
it's
you're
all
not
there.
Thinking about it.
Right, it's all there.
You're just worried about getting ready.
Yep. So it's best if that shoe box comes with the bride in the morning or whoever, even your wedding planner. Like I've seen coordinators bring it with them. Right. So I mean, whatever works, but yeah, like right away in the morning, which I think kind of goes into our next one too. We say a lot to skip the ceremony itinerary cards and the save the dates.
Yeah, we skipped the save the dates and the itinerary cards.
We had the itinerary cards for our ceremony, but we debated skipping them.
That was what it was.
Yeah. So
I stood up front. I didn't realize I didn't get one.
Yeah,
because I had to stand up in front of everybody.
And I don't think you really did them. I think my aunt mostly did like the itinerary cards, and we just printed them out. Yeah, we didn't really do much with those. But like the save the dates were an easy skip for us. Like we didn't really have our engagement pictures done yet because we were kind of slacking. So we got married in July. And we got engaged in January, and I don't think either of us really wanted like.
I like to be on this side of the camera. Right. I like to be on that side of the camera. So getting my photo taken.
Like it took us forever to get to that point. Yeah. So I don't think we actually got our pictures taken until like the spring.
Yeah, it was something like that, and then by that time you're like, well, we should have had save the dates sent. So why don't we just skip them and just send the actual wedding
invite? Yeah.
My thought is, why am I sending you a card that says save this date, and then I'm sending you another one saying you're actually invited? If you got the save the date, you're invited to the wedding more than likely. So just why are we spending an extra $100-$200 on save the dates when you could?
And postage now is expensive too. Like it was like 60 cents or 50 cents or whatever it was to send a card, and if you have more than 100 people, it's like that adds up too. Like it's an easy way to save money, and it's really not that big of a deal in my opinion. Right. And I think we didn't do save the dates, so we sent out our like main card, like our invitation card. We sent that out a little bit earlier. I think we sent it out at like 5 months versus whatever, like a month, 2 months before.
Yeah, I don't know what the standard is.
Yeah, we sent it out a little bit earlier, and then I think like we went a little more like, I call it bougie with our cards, because ours was like a threefold, like card, so it was a little bit more.
But it matched the style of fancy, the wedding, because we did outdoor barn wedding, and the card was like barn doors opening to the center with all the information.
Yeah, it was cool. And I'm trying to think where I ordered. I think we got them on Shutterfly. I'm pretty sure we did Shutterfly.
Probably.
But I don't know. It was pretty reasonable. We didn't spend that much on our invite cards. So I don't regret that part. But we did do, so this is something that we did do. We did do ceremony, like itinerary cards. But like as a vendor and like seeing all these people not do them, it'd definitely be an easy way to skip and like save a little bit of money.
Right.
Like a lot of times we see those big like wood pallets and they paint it on. Yeah, they like paint on their time of everything.
Like, this is how the order of the ceremony or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's you saved how much money on printing because now you're not handing out a card to everyone that they're going to just throw away after the ceremony's done. Maybe you hold on to, as the bride or groom, you might hold on to it. Right. But you printed out 50 copies of this thing that's now just, it's going to get thrown away. So why waste the money on it?
Right. And especially if you have a small wedding that like you don't have to have like your, I don't know what you want to call it. Like some people use like their siblings like stand at the front, hand these out, like gives them a job kind of just to have a job versus like they could still stand there and just like seat people.
Help people
like where do you want to say it? Like here's like who are you with, kind of thing. And I think that's just beneficial and that's really why they're there, So I think it just saves a bunch of money and people don't really look at it. And honestly, they're there to celebrate you. So if I have to sing a couple songs or like if I'm going to listen to you talk about your story, I don't really need to know what order it's in. I'm there just to celebrate you guys. So it doesn't matter. But so another thing, like when you're kind of organizing all this, there's like a lot of pieces.
There's more than a lot of pieces.
There's so many pieces and it's so like, it can be so overwhelming. And I think like the easiest thing that helped us is we like dedicated an email for our wedding. And I think like I've seen this a lot as a vendor, like weddings come through and it's like Mr. and Mrs. Maish at gmail.com. And it's like from our side, it's awesome because I can search like Maish in my email or whatever. And that email post like pops up and it's so easy to find that couple. So I really like it when someone has like a dedicated wedding email. Right. And like as a bride and groom, I think it's good to have that too because it's all in one place. And then after the wedding, you just like get rid of it, like just like push it aside. And it's even can be like kind of a memorial email almost, like I can go back and like look at it and see like who my vendors were and stuff. Like it's been good like to reference for me to have like one place to reference everything versus like if I was to use like my work email or like even my personal,
dig through things
there'd be so many.
If you're trying to remember who did my flowers or who did my hair, like and you're digging trying to figure it out, and it's just easier, especially
like talking with your aunt because your cousin just got engaged and they're trying to plan their wedding right now. And so like talking with your aunt, she's like, oh, how much did you pay for this and who'd you go with for this and like this was awesome, who'd you do that? It's been so nice just to like here's my email
and be like
here's my email, like you can go through it and do whatever because there's nothing on there except for like our vendors and talking to the vendors. And so I think that was like super handy. And I think another thing that kind of our next tip too is like our decorations. Like we didn't spend like any money on decorations. And I'm learning that this is kind of like a new thing, and I've noticed this as a vendor, but now like as your cousin plans his wedding too, and I've been kind of helping your aunt, like she has noticed that it's becoming a thing at venues too, is that venues actually bring a lot of the decorations for you. So like when you go to your venue, like you just have to personalize it. So you bring photos or whatever, but they have like the frames, they have like the nice table decorations, they have like the Mr. and Mrs. signs and like welcome to our ceremony sides, like literally anything you can think of.
Right.
So it's like super nice and budget friendly. So like when you're looking for a venue, it's definitely something to keep in mind. Like
it's going to save you a lot of headache if the venue's providing all of the decorations, but if they're also offering to help set almost all of the decorations up, now you're not trying to find a family member or a friend to be like, make sure all the decorations get set up while I get my hair done and all that, and I don't have to worry about it. But if you find a venue that is providing a bunch of them and then also helping you set them up, game changer.
It is.
So much stress is taken off. Like we just did the last wedding we did, like the amount of decorations they had, the venue didn't supply anything. All this venue supplied was the tables and the chairs. So everything else was provided by the couple. And
It was crazy.
I can't imagine being like trying to find all that stuff and making sure you have enough of the table stuff and the decorations go in the center. Right. It was insane how much stuff they brought.
Oh, it was beautiful too. Like I don't like to pick favorite weddings because I really don't have a favorite, but like decoration wise, it was probably the most filled venue decoration wise that we've ever been to.
Right.
And like it was crazy. And like even her details box, she was so organized. She had like 4 tubs of details. There were so many details.
Way too much.
Yeah, there was a lot. And like go her, like she was so organized. And I think her mom was like a wedding planner too.
So that probably helped.
Yeah, so she like her wedding was super organized and it was awesome. But there were a lot of details. There's a lot to get through.
Imagine trying to just find all that. The stress that you would go through to make sure you have everything and make sure it all shows up and make sure it all gets set up the way you want it to.
Right.
Versus like finding a venue that supplies it and sets it up for you. Right. You just show up and be like, hey, it looks awesome.
And she handled it like it was nothing. Like she was probably one of the like less stressed brides I've ever seen. Like she was so like, whatever it's all good. Happens. Like this is fun. Like it was awesome. She was so chill, which was great. But yeah, save on decorations. It's really just not worth it. Plus like in 6 months, is someone really gonna come to you and be like, oh, they had terrible decorations? Right. You're not gonna remember. They're not gonna remember your decorations. Yeah, like it doesn't matter. Right. So yeah, big thing. Find a venue that has decorations. Big money saver. Less stressed. You get to just kind of show up and all of your decorations are set up for you. It's great.
It's awesome.
It's really kind of, it's really nice. So the next thing kind of with the venue thing, and we did this kind of for our wedding too, which it worked really well. And again, something we'd learned from being a vendor, but like, don't have assigned seating. It's like, it's terrible. Like it just is always, it takes forever to feed people. It is just,
well, who am I to say that Susie needs to sit with John and maybe they're having a fight and they don't want to sit next to each other, but now I assigned them to sit next to each other. Now they're just going to fight the whole time at my wedding.
Right.
I don't want people to sit there and be like, oh, I wonder what my best friend over at the other table is talking about. Mm-hmm. Well, I could have just sat with them.
Right. Like, and we've seen so many people, like the big thing in 2022 for weddings was that big, it was like this board, like an artsy board, and had each table on it and who was sitting at the table.
These 5 people sit there.
And it was, it's beautiful. It looks nice. It looks super nice. Yeah. But then like you hear like, especially us, cause we stand by it like occasionally to get like guest shots, and you hear people come up and they're like, I really have to sit next to that person. I literally texted her yesterday and told her I couldn't sit there. And it's just like, it just gets petty. Like it's just not worth it. And as a bride and groom, like, who cares? Like, let them sit where they want to sit. Now, I do get that some venues actually, and even caterers actually do require like assigned seating because it's like plated food.
Yeah, which makes sense. Which makes sense. So they know where the chicken needs to go, or like how many chickens or how many beef are at this table, whatever.
Which in that case, there's nothing you can do. So plan it the best you can. And as a bride and groom, don't worry about it, because it's
someone's texting you saying, oh, I can't sit next to so and so because I hate them. You'd be like, well, that's not my problem. You'll figure it out. Right. Or you won't show up to my wedding because this is not your day. It's just the bride and groom's day, not their day, to make it. So to avoid the stress, don't have
it's not worth stressing about. And it's like, they'll get over it. Like, in all honesty, if they're not willing to support you and sit in somewhere like that they kind of don't want to sit for your wedding, like maybe they're not a good friend. Like, not to be like push you off, but like, it's your day. Like, don't ever like let someone control your day. Like, that's just,
if someone's showing up and being all pissy and it's making you upset,
right, just ignore it. It's not worth it.
They're not worth it, because they're trying to make your day about them, and it's your day, not their day. Remember that.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say about assigned seats are like if assigning or reserving tables for like your family. Like, you want your parents and your siblings up front in the front, so they because they're your family,
right?
And that's what we did. We had 4 tables up front.
Yeah, we had 4.
2 for my family, 2 for your family. Mm-hmm. They sat where they wanted to, kind of. Yep. But they had the spot up front because you want your family up front.
And we had like 4 circle tables up front, and then like long tables right behind it. And like all of our friends loved it. Like we did not have any complaints for seating. Like there were plenty of spots to sit. People got to sit with who they wanted to sit.
Right.
And it just worked well. And like our concern with like not assigned seating was like, are people going to sit down? Like if they don't have somewhere to go, are they going to actually sit down And it actually worked really well because people sat down, I think, faster than assigned seatings because
they're not looking for their table. They didn't have to look for their
seat. No. And then people like kind of stayed in their seat all night. Like even
because
though
they were sitting with the people they wanted to talk to versus being like, I don't quite know who you're going to want to talk to. So I think you want to talk to these people.
Right. And it definitely kept people at our wedding for the party portion.
Right.
Like even our older guests, like our grandparents and our great aunt and uncles, they stayed because they got to sit with who they wanted to and they talked.
Right.
And it works super well. The only other thing like with assigned family seating is it's really sad. And like maybe this is just me too, but like we go to these places where they have assigned seating and their families up front, but the caterers feed the people in the back first. So like the family are the last people to eat. So then when it comes to speeches, dad is like giving his speech and like
trying to eat his food,
or like has like his plate gets served and he has to give his speech right away. Like it just doesn't really work. So like the biggest thing like that helped us is when we ate as the bride and groom, so did our family.
Yeah, well, we went front to back versus back to front.
Right.
And sometimes you can't control how the caterer is going to serve the food, or your DJ is going to dismiss the tables, or whoever's dismissing the tables. If you have a say in it, bride and groom always go first. That's just how it goes.
Yep.
And then after that, it should be family.
Right.
And then it's a free-for-all.
Yeah. Then however your caterer wants to do it. And, you know, they're honestly, like, we're no experts in it. They are the expert. So maybe there's a different reason for going back to front and the family eating last that we don't know. It's just something we notice as, like, video people. We're like, oh, dad, like we talked to the DJ, we're like, dad had just got his food, like let dad finish eating because he's like scarfing down his food as fast as he can, and more than likely none of them have ate all day.
I mean, really, I don't eat all day, so I can't imagine they're
taking
time to eat because they're with me all day.
Right. So I think the next thing, like when it comes to the food, we talked about the meal, is the dessert. And the dessert, like it always gets served at a different time at a wedding. Like I very rarely, like we go to so many weddings in a year, like almost every weekend, and like the dessert is never served at the same time, like ever, like it's always so random, and like a lot of times it's really sad because it sometimes doesn't get ate, and you spend so much money on your cake, and like like the night gets really busy. And so I think the biggest thing, like the most successful way to serve your dessert is it doesn't matter what time you like serve it, really honestly, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
But make sure your DJ announces it.
That's the big thing, yeah. Make sure the DJ is making sure people know that it's there.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to be left with 100,000 cookies or whatever you have for dessert. You're going to have a crap ton of leftovers. And I am not much of a sweets person.
Right.
So, I mean, having leftovers of dessert it's okay. But they're going to be there forever because I'm not going to eat them.
Right.
As fast as like you have 100 people, 200 people, 300 people at your wedding. That'll be gone. You spend all the money on it that you should.
Right. And most time people have like 2 desserts per guest. Right. So if you have a 300 person wedding, that's 600 like cupcakes or whatever you decide to do. And that's a lot to try to freeze or eat or
take home.
Like what do you do with that many cupcakes? Like if people don't eat it, like sometimes I wonder, like we leave at like 11 o'clock. I just think of the one wedding with the cupcakes, and we left at like 11 o'clock
and they weren't even touched.
No one touched the cupcakes.
It's because nobody knew you could take them or could eat them at that point.
And like for Matt and I, they were actually from that really good company that like has all those flavors.
Yeah, well, I don't remember what they're called, what their name is.
Lush. I think they're Lush cupcakes.
Yeah, they're delicious.
They're so good.
Favorite dessert at any wedding.
Like they're amazing. And they have like a maple bacon one that like is always a huge hit. Anyways, like they sat on this table at night and no one ate them. And Matt and I were like, these are the best cupcakes at a wedding you can possibly get.
And nobody's touching them.
Like it was so sad. And so I think at like 11 o'clock, like you and I went over to the DJ and we're like, hey, like you might want to ask people and like, announce the cupcakes they're over there because they're really good cupcakes.
They're good. And we don't want the bride and groom to be stuck with a million.
Right.
After you eat 5 of them, you're going to be like, I don't want another cupcake for the rest of my life.
Right. And so I don't know what happened. We left. And so, I mean, they only had like an hour left of their venue. So
I'm sure they got 8.
Yeah, I'm sure. They're so good. Right.
But just make sure the DJ.
Make sure they announce.
Or whoever's in charge of dessert is making sure that people know that they can have it if they want it.
Yeah. And I think another way, like if you're trying to save money on dessert, like our top. I love Lush cupcakes. Like I can't even like explain how much they're so good. But like if you are kind of trying to save money, we did bars.
Yeah, we just had the family.
We had family,
make cookie bars or
we just
whatever
gave like each aunt. We're like, hey, can you make two pans of bars? And it was nothing. I mean, people brought their 2 pans of bars, and we were like, well, is that kind of like a headache, like to make bars? They're like, no, it's not that big of a deal. I just made them throughout the week. You know, I'd made one night.
Throw them in the oven and then cut them up.
And they were gone.
Yeah,
like
we didn't have any left
so fast. Yeah, we didn't have enough. We probably should have made more. And we did 2 bars per guest.
Right.
And so I don't know if you're doing bars, maybe you should do 3. But it was good. We didn't have any leftovers.
We didn't have leftovers. And so that's what mattered to me, because I don't want a million bars on my counter for the next. Well, they only last like a week probably, unless you freeze them. Right. So unless you have a big ass freezer, you are gonna suffer, or you're gonna have to throw a bunch of stuff away, and you spend all that money and time.
Right. Like it just doesn't.
And it's just not worth it. So make sure people eat the dessert.
Right. Yeah. DJ should announce the dessert. End of conversation.
Yeah.
But so the next kind of back to the budget idea, it's kind of our last tip, but it's one that, again, is not super controversial, but a lot of people like pour money into this for their wedding because there's so many things. So when you go to a wedding, typically, you know, we give a gift to your mom, you give a gift to your dad, your in-laws, your bridesmaids each have a fancy gift when you ask them to be a bridesmaid. And then when you get to the wedding, they get another gift. And it adds up really fast to give all of these gifts. And so something that saves money but is still sentimental is a lot of people, like even on our wedding, they open the card, and like some people didn't even open their gift on the wedding day.
Right.
Like my bridesmaids, they opened their gift because I was like, you gotta open your gift, like it's jewelry for you, like for the wedding day
to wear.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, I just liked the card, like it was so cute and like sweet. And so like I think like really just like a card for your people is like plenty. Like they're there to celebrate you. And honestly, like our parents weren't looking for any gifts, and I'm sure they love their gift. We did like little statue things, but like honestly, they probably could have gone without. And a lot of times when you're getting married, you're saving for other things. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to buy a house, you're buying a car, you're gonna have a kid in the next 5 years. Like you're saving money. So I don't know. It's an easy way to save money, and I think it's just as sentimental. And if you feel like a card's not enough, like again, maybe some cookies for when they get a little too tossed at the end of the night, or you know, like little snacks. Like I mean, that works so much better than anything else. Right. Don't spend your money on gifts that people like them, but they don't necessarily need them. Right. They're fun, but I don't know. It just seems kind of like a waste of money. But again, I'm super like budget friendly. I hate spending money. Yeah, I know you hate spending money. So like, I don't know. My things are probably more budget orientated than your thinkings, but right. I mean, I like to save money, but I also want to have nice things, so I'll spend the money on the whatever to have the nicer version of that than the cheaper version to save a few bucks. It's not worth it sometimes. Yeah. But in your mind, it's the other way around. You just want to save all the money you can. Right. Which is fine. Yeah. It worked. We saved money for our wedding, so it was good. But yeah, so hopefully like all those tips like combined, like at least can save some stress and like headache in a wedding day. Right. You know, we're just a wedding photo and video person. We've just attended a lot of weddings. So we know what it goes into. Yeah. We've had our own wedding. We did our own wedding. It was like, it's kind of eye-opening. Like after you do your own wedding and then now you're still a vendor. Like it's like I see weddings kind of differently. Like I really do. Like I just understand how much stress it is and how much work it is. Right. And because of that, like our process for booking wedding and photo, like video and photo for weddings, it's changed. Like we've simplified our process significantly because I don't want my bride and grooms to worry about us. Like they we are just totally reach out and say, this is what I'm looking for, and be like, okay, if you just want a recording of your ceremony, this is the package you want. Yep. And that's it. Sign the contract, put your down deposit down, and you won't hear from us until maybe a month or two before the wedding. It depends on if we have questions. Right. Or if you have questions, you know, like we're still there for our bride and grooms. Like our phone calls are always open. Like we do Zoom calls. We'll meet you for a cup of coffee. Like, like nothing bothers us. Like we'll answer any questions or even like general wedding questions. You know, we usually have some sort of tip. Like you might be surprised kind of what we know and what we've learned. Oh, should we have water at like,
just at the bar for people to take?
Yes.
Yes. 100% you should, but that's a question we've been asked.
Right, yeah.
Maybe you have a question you're like, what should I have for a snack at the social hour? Yeah,
like what goes really easily. What else have we been? Like how many bridesmaids and groomsmen look the best? Like so many weird like random questions that most people probably wouldn't ask.
What color should I wear? Yeah. Like have my bridesmaids wear.
Right. Like what color looks good? Like do you have any style guides for weddings that I could base off of? You know, like 100% like we're going to answer all those questions for you. Like Matt and I like to kind of, I mean, if you don't have a wedding coordinator, we're not going to necessarily coordinate your wedding because we don't have time for that in a day. But
if you have questions and
we
can help
your
answer
itinerary,
those
like we've helped organize itineraries. Like
when should we do what thing? Like, and a lot of times that should come down to the photographer or the videographer because they know how much time they need to get family photos done, or they know how much time it takes to do X, Y, and Z. So sometimes having your photographer or videographer involved in your itinerary planning of the whole day is helpful.
Super helpful. Like it helps the day go so much smoother. And like something with us that I think is super nice, like we do weddings together. We also do them separate.
Right.
You know, so like when we work together, it is like significantly easier. And I don't know, like I kind of know why, because like we're together all the time. We do it all the time together.
We know what we're
thinking. But like we know what each other's thinking. We're never in each other's shots. Like it's so smooth.
Right.
And then we kind of work with other people. And sometimes like, especially in the video world, you don't always have the itinerary until we show up on location.
Yeah, itinerary is more of like a photo thing.
Yeah.
And from a video side of things, the video person's there to capture what is happening throughout the day. They're not necessarily trying to make sure you get family photos done. Because as a video person, I'm just making sure that I get all the stuff I need to make your video look awesome. And then also enough of footage to make sure like I'm telling the story of your day.
Right. However it happens.
It happens. That's your day. Everyone's day is different.
Right.
Sometimes people's day don't have family photos.
Right.
And sometimes they do.
Right. It like changes all the time. And so like I think that's a big thing too. Like you are there capturing the day and I am setting the day up, right? I'm organizing the day so that it flows smoothly and the bride and groom aren't thinking, when are we going to do that? When are we going to do that? Oh, is this okay? Are we on time? Like that's like,
yeah, we don't want you to be stressed about making sure you're going to be at the ceremony on time.
Right. Like we kind of watch out for that. I mean, it's not necessarily like there's a bunch of things that we do in a day that are probably underlying not our job, but they're our job. Because we step in and make sure it happens.
It's like going to go well. And that you don't have to think about it. And that we also get the shots that we need to make a video or make your photos look good.
Right. It just helps us keep our day. So you can
remember your whole event, your wedding.
Right.
And not be stressed about it, because no one wants to be stressed about I got to make sure Grandma Susie gets in the photos.
Right.
Okay, well, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, like you just stand there. And a lot of time, like with our family pictures and stuff too, like I don't think a bride and groom really realize it's just a lot of standing there and smiling for the two of you.
And it kind of sucks.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest, from doing it myself,
I was so tired.
My face hurt after about 5 minutes.
I was exhausted. And like, because a lot of time, like you start with like I like to start with the bride's family. And that might not be typical, but I like to start with the bride's family. So I have the bride stand there, and then like mom and dad come in. We do a picture with mom and dad. Oh, okay, groom go in. So then it's bride, groom, mom and dad. You know, and we just keep building off of it.
Right.
And so like the bride and groom really never get a break.
No.
Which we try to break it up, but I mean.
Right. We want to give them a little bit of a break so they don't have sore cheek muscles.
Right.
Because that is no fun. And you want to make sure they're not getting angry or hangry,
yeah, because you probably
dehydrated.
Yeah. Definitely water. Again, water everywhere at your wedding is important. Like a cooler outside when you're doing family photos, we've seen that, and that's been awesome. Like from a vendor point, like it's nice to have a water once in a while. And like for the bride and groom, like we've seen grooms like literally almost pass out because they're so nervous, and like it's just hot, especially in the summer. Like I don't know, water. And I like it's usually the groom that we have to push to drink water more than the bride, because the bride's like downing it.
Right.
But the groom, drink water.
Drink a lot of water.
Did you learn your lesson?
I drank water.
You just didn't eat.
I just didn't eat. Yeah. Also, you should eat.
You should eat. Yeah. Eat, drink water, whatever.
Just get nervous.
Yeah. It is nervous. I mean, it's nerve-wracking.
You gotta stand in front of a bunch of people.
I know. But it'll be okay. Drink water, eat food. It'll be a good day.
And relax.
Chill out. It's all good.
If something doesn't go to plan, it wasn't meant to be that way.
Right. It's just not worth worrying about your day. It's really not. There's so many people there, and at the end of the day, as long as you're surrounded by the people that you love and they love you, and you tie the knot, who cares?
That's the whole point of a wedding.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Get married to the person you love.
Right. So, let the other things fly.
Right.
But in other terms,
don't stress.
Don't stress.
Yeah.
And we're sending you good planning vibes.
Yeah, if you're planning your wedding and you're listening to this.
Yes. Good planning vibes. Don't stress.
Hope it's going well. Yeah. If you have questions, feel free. You
can always reach out. Even if we're not like your photo or video person, Matt and I, we love to help with weddings. We did it, and we totally get even the little bit of texting, oh, hey, I have this question. It's so stress relieving just to hear it from another person.
Right.
So just text us. We really it's not that big of a deal. Even if you're not booking us, we'll still help you.
Yeah,
we're the industry, so
we're not gonna be meanies.
No, we're not meanies.
So
and we're not scary people. I don't think, at least.
I hope not.
I hope we're not scary. But rough. Anyways, cool. So sending good planning vibes, and if you have other questions or need a recap of this episode, I did post a blog about it a little while ago.
So go check it out.
Yeah, you should go check it out. It's on our little
media.
Yeah.
Ghostdog.media is the website.
Ghostdog.media. Yes.
I almost said ghostdogmedia.com, but
because that's the typical thing.
That's the normal website, but no.
So don't forget it. It's ghostdog.media. Yeah.
Is the website.
And then you just go to the little blog section, and it's right there. I think it's one of the top ones. Maybe it's the third one right now, but yeah. Yeah, it's called What We Know, Wedding Series, Episode 1.
Yeah.
It has a number, so there's more to come on the wedding stuff. So make sure to keep listening to us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Bye. Thanks for listening to your favorite marketing companions.
Don't forget to follow us on socials at Ghost Dog Media and Maddie's Moments Photography. And check us out on our website, ghostdog.media.
Tune in again soon so you don't miss out on any of our podcast moments.
Until next time.